Hey guys, it's your course director Emily Ray here. Just wanted to give you a little bit of positive, productive feedback on these text-based resumes that you recently submitted. I'm going to go through each one individually and point out a few things to be thinking about between now and the next time that you work with this content. And believe me, you will be working with this content regularly throughout the MCBS program. For many of you, and I can tell just by what you submitted here, this was not the first time that you've dug into potentially building a resume. So a couple of things to be thinking about as you proceed both through portfolio and through MCBS is, are you establishing a clear connection between the skills and experiences you've listed and ultimately the types of jobs that you want to get in the media communications industry? What that means is that, like, if you're seeking employment as a graphic designer, you need to show relevant experience in that realm on your resume. Likewise, if you want to be in social media, you're looking for ways to showcase skills and abilities in that area. So you're in portfolio 3. That means you have plenty of time to build that skill set or gain that experience if you have identified a gap. So let's say you have an objective to be a videographer, except you don't really have any experience with that you can put on your resume. The good news is that you have quite a bit of time between now and graduation to figure out what that looks like. Maybe it's an internship, maybe it's a project that you develop, maybe it's volunteer work. There's probably an answer that will fit your situation. And as you continue to develop, your professional work, be thinking about not just, what you were tasked with doing, what you were assigned with doing in a given role, but ultimately what you were able to accomplish as the person in that role. What was the unique value that you added that potentially nobody else could have? Obviously, spell check is important with resumes, and so certainly you guys will want to apply that feature in the given software that you use, and then have a trusted set of human eyes to make sure that you're not misusing words. Okay, I've had several students who talk about their customer service experience, except they say costumer service experience, and that's not something that spell check is going to get, because costumers is a real word. So you want someone who is going through this with you to make sure line by line that you're saying what you intend to say. Now, Wendy Walzer is our career development advisor for MCBS, and she works with you as you approach the end of MCBS and get closer to graduation. However, you can reach out to her at the email address listed here. If you want her to mentor you or to take a look at your resume and provide feedback before you get to that point, they've scheduled these open office hours for students who are not close to graduation to be able to come in and work with the career advisors. Last but not least, you guys definitely want to keep adding to this document. It's a snapshot of your skills and experience at any given point in time. And, as you are growing and changing and learning more, your resume should be updated to reflect that. So let's just jump right in. First, we're going to take a look at Jay's. So this is an interesting one because Jay is seeking a position as a product marketing manager for a medical device company. Now, this is interesting because she has experience as an occupational therapist. So very excited and curious to hear about how you intend to use your MCBS degree towards that end. Because you have 13 years of experience already, this is quite an extensive resume. And as I said before, based on what you guys submit, it's very easy to see that this is not the first time that you've ever had to put one of these things together. So a few things, right? Like, this resume has so much content, but in seeking this kind of position, what becomes relevant about what you're sharing here? Certainly your summary of qualifications, the education that you've had, your computer skills, and work experience that would speak to your ability to do this, being a product marketing manager. Well, scrolling down here to the bottom, we can see your employment history go all the way back to, Arby's and Walgreens, and one might argued that maybe this is less relevant experience. Depending on the types of jobs that you're applying for, maybe this is just showing that you have management experience and that you want to keep that. Perhaps with Walgreens, you were a pharmacy tech. Now maybe you get into some sort of product that has to do with that has a pharmacy application. So then this would be relevant. You guys always need to be keeping your resume in as fluid of a state as possible, because depending on the type of job that you are applying for, some of this may or may not be as relevant, and it would be your job then to curate what it is that you want to say about yourself and your experience. This is great because it catalogs everything, and that's what I want you guys to do, is keep track of it all. That way you have all of the content, it's already written out, it's ready to go, and when you want to create a resume that speaks to a specific job posting, it just becomes a copy and paste job. All right, let's take a look here at Jamari. So here, you talk about wanting to get into social media. We see quite the summary of skills, and you've got your education here. I'll say, you guys, if you have college experience, you no longer need to address or add anything from high school, right? Scrolling down, I can see that you've done a little bit of volunteering at elementary school, but what I don't see is, one, any place that I can go check out your social media, which might be something that I want to do if I'm hiring you to do social media for me. And I don't see any projects or jobs here that showcase or list or describe your skills and abilities in that area. So certainly there's an opportunity for you to fill that out in a more well-rounded way that would really speak to your desire to get into this field. Now, this is blanket feedback for everybody, and that's that you would like to include a link to a portfolio website, right? So that's where you can talk about yourself and your projects in longer form, and certainly be able to show, not just tell about the work that you are able to do. Let's take a look here at Iris's resume. So scrolling down here, we can see, that you've got your summary. This is interesting because it looks like it's just a screenshot of something you've already created, which is fine. But to that end, you are going to need this information in an editable form, because you will need to be adding to this regularly, right? So here we have your experience, and you've done sales associate work and doing what looks like some representation work, but you don't really say much about this, right? So you don't tell me what you did at Salvation Army. You don't tell me what you did. What does it mean to assist in the growth of the company's revenue? There's a missed opportunity for you to more fully explain what you did, so someone can envision how you might be able to help their company. So that's what I'll say, is that more care needs to be paid to really describing, what your everyday roles and responsibilities were in these various positions. Next up, we're going to take a look at Trevor. So here, it looks like you've got, some good work experience, quite a number of years here in various capacities. As I scroll down, I can see that you've got quite a bit of technical proficiency, right? And so looking up at, where you've worked, I don't see where you are applying these skills currently, in these positions. So, and I don't see an objective statement, meaning that I don't necessarily know how it is that you want to apply these technical skills, or if you do, and what that looks like. So, potentially get sort of clear on your objective of where you're applying, and, take a look at what's demanded in that position. And then you need to make sure that your resume shows the skills and abilities and experience in that area, right? So let's just say, for example purposes, that you want to do videography work. You're going to have to come up with some work experience, that will back up your skills and abilities in that area. Certainly a portfolio is a great place to start, or client work. So, take a look at, those possibilities for you. Moving along, we've got Gavin's here. So it's a very clear objective. Wants to edit, direct, shoot, and be in your videos, right? So he's got this amount of education, this amount of experience, and he's got different types of software experience. But what it says is that he has worked at Marshall's and has done some retail sales associate work. So this work experience doesn't back up or doesn't lend the necessary credibility to know for certain that Gavin can be the be the guy who is directing, editing, and shooting these videos. So, how you might accomplish this would be to, one, start a portfolio where you can point to your work and start taking on some clients, whether that's on a freelance or a volunteer capacity, right? And then maybe ask marshals if there is anything that you could do maybe in the realm of video editing or video work for them. Definitely you guys explore the possibilities of testing out your media related skills at your current places of employment. These are highly sought after skills, that might, you might be able to take on a project or two at your current job, that would offer good skills and experience for your resume moving forward. So last but not least, let's take a look here at Grace's text-based resume. And again, the point of doing a text-based resume is to think solely about the content, so the articulation and the description of your skills and abilities and the experience that you've had, at jobs or volunteering or with projects, and not worry about the design at this point. It's harder to develop the content, to write this out, than it actually is to do the design work. It's a little bit more fun, some might argue, to do the design, and so people tend to jump to that part. But so like this, taking the time to do this is a very important step in developing your resume. So looking at this, it says that you have a lot of skills in customer service, which is great, management roles, and being very well spoken. So you've done some visual merchandising, some caregiving, so design specialists, visual merchandisers. So I do see your media and aesthetic talents coming through in some of the positions that you have listed here. So manager at Carrie Ann, right? So this is what you did: visual merchandising, styling, opening and closing the store. I bet that there's a bit more that you can expand upon here, so someone has a better idea of exactly what that meant. And so that's my recommendation for you in each one of these areas. Overall, you guys, this is a great, it's a great step to be taking and to have this content figured out, so that a next step could be, after you have been thinking about and working on your personal brand, to potentially make this a bit more of a highly stylized or visual version. If you guys have any questions about this feedback, please let me know.